What's going on, everybody? I kind of want to do a little part 2 of the life update video that I did the other day and just talk about moving forward, if we want to go about that. After doing that video Thursday, I kind of hit rock bottom by Friday morning, and that's fine. You know, I think it's something that needed to happen. I needed to get to the bottom so that all I could do from there was rebuild. I spent most of Friday just kind of in bed, lounging around, sleeping, just thinking about things that I needed to change in my own life. And that was the day that we took those first couple steps. I really, at this point, am getting back to a full-on healthier diet. I went back to the gym this morning for the first time in a couple weeks to try to kick myself out of that zone. I think I need to find things for me that I cherish, if that makes sense, things that drive me, right? Yesterday, I wrote a poem on All Poetry for the first time in a couple years, and it got good reviews from the people who did read and comment on the poem, which wasn't a lot, but you know, what can you expect? I'm a nobody in that sense. But it's usually when I get to the bottom of where I am that those creative juices start flowing again, if that makes sense. I have been posting a decent amount of videos, if you've noticed, the last couple days, just because, one, I've wanted to test out this new microphone I bought and not put it to waste, and two, just to try to remember who I am, if that makes sense. I need to lose weight. I definitely do. I need to finally get back down to 170, 165 pounds. That's part of the goal right now during this whole rebuilding phase, if you want to call it that. You know, it's very rare that I sit here these days and just talk from the hip, right? I used to do it for my year-end videos when I would do that, and doing it Thursday, I think, opened up a part of me that made me realize it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to speak to you guys who have been watching the channel, and even to the new viewers. Hi, nice to introduce myself. And just let it out. You know, it's almost like a therapy in a sense. I think I've been overwhelming myself more than anything over the last couple years. You know, I look back and it's been kind of the last like 2-3 years where I really haven't been myself. I've been trying to get there, and then I just keep falling back into depressions, into anxiety, into a safe place, if that makes sense. And you know, for some people that's fine, but I've always had the confidence to believe in myself to overcome and get out of these places and do something big, something where I test myself, something risk-taking, to understand that I can do what I put my head to. And I realized that when I was younger, I had a lot more of that intensity and that confidence, and that it was fine, that I was gonna do what I wanted to do. And over the last couple of years, that falling back into the comfortableness, I think, has been my downfall, if that makes sense. You know, I would get to a point within the new things that I was trying to achieve, and then like one little roadblock, I would just be like, nope, go, let's back out, abort mission. And that was never me. You know, even when I used to fail, I would just keep going just to test the risk, you know what I mean? So, you know, putting that poem out yesterday, I think helped remember who I was to an extent. It helped me get back to my roots, and my roots was always creativity. My roots was always writing. It was always telling a story. And I think that allowed me to be vulnerable again. You know, I decided to sign up for a subscription for All Casting, which is an acting website for casting calls. I don't know how well it's going to go, but if you remember years ago, I was trying to get back into acting. If you've been here for a while, I found fun in it. You know, I didn't really do much with it, but it was a venture that was intriguing to me. And I think I need to find that again just to put myself out there. I need to stop living in this bubble where I was just making safe decisions. And I think I needed to hit that breaking point the other night in terms of making mistakes, in terms of realizing I can't keep doing things the way I was doing them. And I think this is a good first step to actually come out and say that, like, I'm doing this, because it gives me accountability, right? I like speaking things into action, especially in a video sense, just to keep myself focused. You know, like, I hate being someone who would put out a video saying I'm going to do this, do that, and then just not follow through with it. That was never me. You know, whether it's laziness now is a whole different story, right? It used to be I set a goal in my head and I was going to achieve that goal by all means necessary. And I think I need to set foot in doing that. Get out of that laziness, get out of that funk that I've been in, of just being like a shadow of who I once was. Because even if you look at me in the early videos of this channel, I had a lot more spark to me. I think I'm better at talking now than I used to be, because I used to be very kind of shy on camera, not really enunciating much, not really projecting much. But I think I knew who I was a little bit better. And I think it's important to see where we go from here in terms of what I can do to try to bring back me. You know, I think losing the weight will give me a lot more energy. I've been stuck at anywhere between like 190 to 200 pounds for the last like 4 or 5 years. And there have been spurts, don't get me wrong, where I can get back down to 180, 175. My goal is 155 to 165, like I was early on in the channel, full of energy, full of, like, I don't know, athleticism, because I was definitely more athletic then than I am now. And that just comes down to focus. That comes down to not coming home every day and just lounging around. I need to keep myself busy like I used to. And I need to find a way to do that. I think I could realistically get back down to 170 by the end of the year, right? Like, I have 5 months to do so, to lose like 25 pounds and get back to feeling fantastic. But it's a matter of keeping myself focused and keeping myself accountable and keeping myself in tone. So I want to do this little life update video as kind of, I don't want to say like a retrospective, but as a heart-to-heart moment, right? In terms of the last couple days since I came home from vacation. And maybe I needed to get away for a little bit to then have that moment when I came home to hit rock bottom, right? To hit that breaking point of, all right, things need to change, and only I have really control to do that. You know, I need to be better to my friends. I need to keep myself accountable. I need to keep myself in tone. I need to eat better. I need to figure out who I am again. And hopefully that's a journey we're going to be going through here on the channel in some way, shape, or form. Because if I can hold myself accountable by posting videos, even where you can just see the physical and emotional changes maybe that I go through, you know, not even like trying to make it apparent, just hopefully it is something that just kind of shows over time by doing things a little different, right? It's time to, I guess, go through redemption for myself, for the people around me. There is a lot of people I think I need to redeem myself to. And I'm not saying that I'm this awful person, right? Because deep down I'm not, but I can be at times. And I think that is something that needs to be worked on, something that I need to focus on, and not just I want to say not just always think about myself, because I do need to think about myself more than I was, because I've always been kind of a people pleaser, and I admit that. You know, I like to make people smile, I like to make people happy. I don't like to be a disappointment, even though I think in that mentality of saying that, I've been there. You know, I think I've been disappointing myself by putting on like a facade a lot of the time and just getting through things to get through things and not really being me anymore. I know this is like a whole weird mental thing and odd to post, right? But I think it's important to speak things out loud to then start planting the roots and the bricks of what I'm going to be building next, right? I think it's important to figure these things out, to remember me, and not be so exhausted all the time. Like, I don't want to be exhausted just from living. I want to be exhausted from accomplishing things. And that's realistically what I need to be doing again. I need to be going out and accomplishing things instead of just coming home, playing video games, reading a book. Like, yeah, reading is power, right? Knowledge is power. But if I'm just sitting here wallowing in my own self a lot of the time, you know, like it's not who I am, right? It's not who I've ever been. You know, I'm bringing back Motivational Monday. Starting tomorrow, which I've already pre-recorded, so if you see me wearing this shirt, it is what it is, because I think I need to get back on that track of being that positive guy that I have been, right? Get back on that track of being who I once was. And, you know, the first step is here, talking to you guys, giving this like life update part 2. So I want to thank you all for watching. I want to thank you all, hopefully, for being here in the future. Hopefully, you know, the content gets better. Hopefully we can talk more. You know, let's build those relationships. And I think even though this seems like a little bit of a weird life update video, I want you guys to understand that like this is a safe space. I want to believe, you know, the people who have been here for years, I hope you continue to be here. And the people who support me, thank you. The people I need to fix things with, thank you as well for bringing me to this point. And it's going to be interesting going forward, I think. And I'm somewhat excited for it because I'm excited to see me again. And that's where I'm going to leave that. So keep following along, guys. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe if you want to join me with this. Until next time, see ya. Bye.